Welcome to Interesting Choices, a show where we look at media and the interesting choices it makes. Books, film, movies, video games, albums, whatever. Any media, any choice. It's all going to be weird. Who knows? I'm one of your hosts, Kate.
And I'm Sky.
Hey, Sky.
Hi, Kate.
So, what interesting piece of work are we looking at this time around?
This time, we're taking a look at Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny Mnemonic, the 1996 cyberpunk thriller, I guess, based off of a short story by William Gibson.
Who then went on to write the screenplay, which I didn't know before. Yeah,
this is a stunningly competent movie.
Yeah, it gets a lot of crap, and I can kind of get it because there are some points where the logic's a little woo-woo, but I have a genuine love for this movie that will not be shouted down.
Yeah. I recently watched through the Matrix trilogy with my co-host on the other movie podcast I do, and this movie is more solid than the second and third Matrix movies. Like, it has characters you care about. It has a relatively coherent plot. The character motivations sometimes are stupid, but at least they sort of make sense.
They make sense, and like, I remember thinking some of the decisions Johnny made, or at least some of the acting choices Keanu made, didn't make sense one of the first times I saw it, but looking back, it's like, that's exactly what someone in that position would do. Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny is kind of an unlikable character.
Oh, yeah. He's a huge dick.
And that's part of the charm is like so much of the movie's production design is super good. Like, throughout the movie, Johnny always wears these like big ill-fitting suits that are like slightly too large for him, and he kind of looks like a kid like wearing his dad's clothes, like he's just a little over his head.
Yeah, I know it's probably not intentional, but there's a lot of little small things that if this had been made after all of the other movies he did would be callbacks to stuff he's done. Like, for instance, his name is Johnny, but he uses the alias Mr. Smith a lot of the time. So he's wearing a black suit. I'll try to hit on some of them as we go forward. But yeah, just lots of neat little things.
I saw this movie in the theater with my parents. I dragged them to this because I knew as a 16-year-old child, 17, whatever, teenage child, this movie was for me. It was everything I wanted out of a movie. I was like super stoked. After we finished the film, we went right over to the mall and we went to Suncoast, and I bought a Johnny Mnemonic t-shirt that said "Hack Your Own Brain." I proudly wore that to high school. I was such a nerd.
Like, everything production wise is really well thought out. There's a lot of very 90s touches, especially where some of the incidental music comes in, but like, Johnny always wears a nice suit. Everyone's clothes are just a mix between 90s retrofuturism and 80s new wave.
Mm-hmm. They even have iPhones in there, although they are literally like
phones that go over the eyes.
Yes.
The VR headsets, but they call them iPhones.
It is weird to hear them say iPhone in this movie. But like, all of the tech, like, looks cool in a way that still looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, Johnny's portable breakdown gear looks neat. The cyber deck crap that he puts on his head still looks cooler than the Oculus Rift. TBH.
It looks pretty cool, especially the glove, the power glove knockoffs.
It's like all of it still holds up, which is wild. Like,
yeah, even Jones, which I don't want to spoil until we get there, but like, Jones is just
like so let's just get into it.
So it's the far off future of a year from now.
Yeah, 2021. In Beijing, there are people protesting in the streets over a worldwide pandemic.
Yep.
Everyone's wearing masks and carrying signs. And Johnny's wakes up, or actually before that, I guess.
Yeah, he wakes up in the hotel first. We get a text scroll that kind of lays out the world. There's mega corporations. There's a disease. It's a pandemic. They don't really say what it is. Just NAS, nerve attenuation system. There's a group of people called the Low-Techs who are fighting against the corporations, I guess. The Yakuza is the be-all, end-all of organized crime / special ops.
They've franchised themselves into kind of a Blackwater type situation.
Yeah. But Johnny wakes up in probably the swankiest sleazy hotel I've ever seen. It's like both of those bars are fully maxed out on the meters. It's full swank, full sleaze.
Yeah, it's like a hotel that drug dealers go to.
Yeah.
That's the sort of level at which Johnny is existing in this world.
But yeah, he wakes up. He's had room service. He is next to a beautiful woman who says she's going to get ice and leaves and is never seen again.
Nope. She just bounces.
Yeah. And he calls his, I guess, his fixer, Ralphie, to try to, I guess, hearing this conversation, it kind of seems like he was sort of celebrating. Like this was a celebratory night because he was going to get his brain implant out finally. And that was going to be a big thing for him because that would mean him getting a chunk of his brain back and getting his memories back. Because in order to smuggle memories, which is the big thing, because computers can be hacked, but it's harder to get a chunk of brain out of somebody. He works as a mnemonic smuggler or courier.
Yeah, he basically has wetware installed in his brain that lets him store a whopping 80 gigs of data.
Yep.
But like in order to do so, he had to dump a chunk of long-term memory, as he says.
Specifically his childhood, but you don't learn about that till later.
Yeah, but he has arranged through Ralphie to pay for this removal surgery with the goal of regaining those memories specifically.
But the deal has changed. The people who were going to do it want more money, so he ropes Johnny into doing just one last job, just one more job.
Yeah, this is the just one last job.
Yeah. He gets. We go through he just calmly walks through the riot out front. And it was really weird because it's like, this could be today, except all the signs are protesting the disease and not, government overreach.
Somehow he gets his cabbie to drive into the middle of this protest and then climbs out and climbs over the roof of the car in order to get to his hotel. But prior to this, Ralphie asked him, "Have you gotten your upgrade, Johnny? You need to have gotten your upgrade in order to do this mission." And he's like kind of looking off to the side. He's like, yeah.
He's just kind of coy. Yeah, sure, I got it.
And then he gets into the lobby of the New Beijing hotel or whatever it is.
Yeah, every set in this is just really a work of art on its own, honestly.
The production design's super good. I could imagine this being a hotel in a megalopolis in East Asia. Sure. Yeah,
they got the full thing. They've got the phalanx of bellhops greeting guests as they come in. He comes in and he sort of sees the fish globe in the lobby and has a weird moment with twins in the lobby as well.
Yeah, that moment was kind of unnecessary. It humanizes him a little bit, right? It's like, oh, he'll say hi to children. He's not just a stone cold murder man.
I mean, it kind of does that, but then when he comes around and then instead of just seeing the one kid through the reflection, it's the twins. It's just kind of a really creepy moment. Like, oh, geez.
There's no point for them to be twins other than if this is actually the Matrix.
I mean, maybe. There's a lot of inferences.
Your headcanon could be that this was one of the previous iterations of the Matrix, and this is a previous version of the one, and I would 100% believe you.
Yeah, that could work. He gets into the elevator, and as he's riding up, he uses a little, it's just a really slick little thing. It's like a disposable package with the ribbon around top to pull the top off, and then he plugs a jack into his implants to double his memory to a staggering 160 gigabytes.
And this was not a piece of hardware that was installed, it definitely seems like it was just a piece of software that lets you store like compression. Basically,
I thought was like it's a long metal needle. It could be injecting nanites in there or something. I don't know. I'm like making brain leaps to try to make this not hurt my head. Like it doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's still fun, and the fit and finish on it is really superb.
It is. I was gonna say, as a child of that era, I bought RAM doublers and installed them on my computer in order to effectively use twice as much like virtual RAM as I had. And part of it was compression, and part of it was it let you use your like hard disk as storage. So there was a lot of like fuckery in order to get around the DOS RAM limitations. And so this was a piece of kit that I was like, oh shit, it's one of those, but the future one. And I was like, yes.
So it could conceivably be like rewiring further parts of his brain to get more memory.
Or it could just be like, hey, here's an on-the-fly compression algorithm, but who knows? Like, software memory doublers were a thing.
Yeah.
They sold them at Walmart. It was wild.
But it's just like, it's one of those small things where someone spent a lot of time on making a plastic covering that's supposed to look like he got this thing at like a freaking 7-Eleven or something, and just rips the plastic off and it's gone, but it looks the part. It's
basically like if you got a disposable like Sony Vaio accessory. It's that level of design.
Yeah.
It's dope as shit, and it's just a throwaway thing. But that's kind of this movie, is everything is super well thought out, well designed, visually interesting, still holds up because it's not trying to be cool, it's just trying to be well designed.
Yeah, and it really pulls it off. But he gets up to the hotel room, and it's full of... Every time I watch this, I assume they're college interns, but they're actually lab technicians.
It's like 2 lab technicians and a handful of like middle-aged bodyguards that they hired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all various levels of unprepared
and or armed.
They're armed, but all of their guns are like on the table, and they don't grab them until Johnny like literally opens up the elevator doors.
Well, they don't grab them until he comes into the room and then holds his briefcase up like it's a pizza box. It's like double cheese, anchovies.
Yeah, that is the only part about this movie that really feels super 90s to me, is that they wanted to give Johnny all these like one-liners because they thought that heroes in movies in the 90s just needed fucking one-liners all the time. And so he says a bunch of stuff that is utterly unnecessary and just like undercuts his character, but like whatever. It
was fun. It feels like some of the charm of the movie for me, but
I mean, I could, again, it is the thing that makes it the 90s, and sure, like I get that.
But yeah, they're worried he doesn't have enough space in his brain for the data. He's laying out the terms of what they have to do. He puts a motion detector on the door, which was really cool because it's just like a little, like almost like lipstick stick sized thing that he just sticks on the door to see if there's someone on the other side. And they're going to upload the data into his brain. It's going to be encoded, and their code's going to be 3 random frames from the TV that it's going to print out, and then they're going to fax it to the receiver.
Yeah.
And then use the code to download it, which, I mean, as far as codes go, aside from the faxing it, that seems like it'd be pretty secure.
But I mean, who's going to hack a fax line, right?
That's true.
Like, if you wanted to do some stealthy shit in the year 2020, you would do it via beeper.
Yeah. But yeah, he pops up in his suitcase, and it's like foam lined. All the little bits of his rig have their own little cutout. The only thing that really, like, it bugged me, but it wasn't bad, it was just kind of funny, is that like everything's obviously a piece of technology except for the timer, which is hidden in a pack of cigarettes, but nothing else is disguised as something else.
There were other things, like one of them was disguised as eye drops. But yeah, the pack of cigarettes was the most obvious one.
Yeah. It's just weird because, like, it'd be one thing if, like, it was just a bag full of crap, but, like, this is a black aluminum suitcase, and everything has, like, a bespoke foam place. So even if it was all, like, a bag of chips and a candy bar, I'd be like, why?
Yeah, it's definitely counterproductive, but also That is the sort of person Johnny is.
Yeah, it's still great. Like, I still love it. It's just one of those things that, like, I don't hate. It just makes me laugh.
As someone that made, like, a custom foam carrying case thing for my, like, vape, I got no room to talk.
I mean, I definitely remember helping make friends make custom foam carriers for, like, their Warhammer minis and such. So
they're about to proceed with the download, and then you can cut down to the lobby and you see a gang of Asian men in trench coats and then one white dude, I guess.
Yep. The coming of the goons.
And they are coming up the elevator. The bald dude is so over the top. He's like peering over his sunglasses. He's like, what are we going to do, boss? Huh?
Who are they anyway?
Yeah. And then the boss is like, oh, they're like scientists who defected from Pharmacom. They have some data. We need to get it back. You see the boss. You see that his thumb has some sort of prosthetic thing on the fingertip.
Yeah, from the first knuckle up to the rest of the thumb. It's like a metal with like a talon.
He has one long fingernail on his thumb.
Yeah, that comes back a lot to great effect. But Johnny gets the download and it looks extremely painful.
Yeah, he's way past his limit. There was 520 gigs there or something ridiculous like that.
320. It was double his double.
Yeah. So he's way over. So he's basically using his meatware as storage, and it's no good for anyone involved.
Yeah, we've been told multiple times at this point that if he goes over, it could kill him within days.
They did flash some random shots off the TV screen.
Some kind of superhero guy. I always miss the second one.
The second image is just some abstract like cityscape or something, and then the third one you don't really get to see.
They kind of mess it up with other stuff and you don't really see it until the end because it's supposed to tie together. But,
yeah.
And I've heard criticism of why would he do that, you know, when he knows the risks, and it's like he thought he was about to get out. This was supposed to be like his last day. He just wants to be done with this. To him, this is just like a milk run, and then he gets the crap out of his brain.
This has probably worked for him 1,000 times in the past.
Like if you've ever gotten to like the very end of a project and you just like write the last few sentences in a rush. Mm-hmm. Like this is that, but with Courier.
It's his job to take risks. It's his job to push, and he could walk away from this project, but that would mean possibly upsetting his connections. Like Ralphie probably wouldn't give him as high quality work. It might delay the time to get the procedure. It might increase the cost of the procedure since it's been ramped up while he's been collecting money. Like, this is it. This is his last chance. Risk be damned. I'm just going to go for it.
And they don't explicitly say it, but it's kind of implied that this has happened before. Like, they've raised the price on him, so he just keeps getting roped back into this.
Yeah.
And the download goes off. He asks for the bathroom, and they hold the disc, the original with the data on it, over a propane burner.
Yeah, just like over the
kitchen stove.
And while they're faxing the film strip of images to Newark, New
Jersey, crime hub of the world. Sorry, the free city of Newark.
Yeah, the free city. While he's in the bathroom having a nosebleed and generally freaking out because he's got brain damage.
Yeah. He's about to exit the room. He notices the motion detectors going off, doesn't say anything, goes back into the bathroom and shuts off the light. So he's just like the hugest jerk.
Yeah.
And then we get to see what the fingernail's all about because it's connected to, they never explain it, but it's like monowire, like a molecule thick wire that just slices a hole through the door, and then they bust in and shoot everybody.
Almost everybody.
Yeah, because everyone in the Cub Scout Criminal Club didn't have their guns on hand.
Yeah, again, they're terrible. The lady dodges behind the door and hides there. The two scientists are cowering in a corner, but all the hench people just get immediately gunned down.
Yeah, Baldy goes for the bathroom and promptly gets thrown through the shower by Keanu, and nobody heard it.
Nor did they hear Keanu's one-liner, "You should have knocked first, Baldy." Like, they did a lot of these things that, like, I think they did in ADR afterwards. They're like, we could put a cool one-liner there, or nobody understands what's going on here. Ice-T, you have to explain things to people.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, they do a lot of that just because they didn't super trust their audience, and so they're like, test test screenings didn't know what was going on here, so just put in a line. It's fine.
Well, sometimes they just think people won't know. Like, they severely overestimate how stupid the audience is going to be. And you can always tell. And it always reminds me of the story I heard about Enemy Mine, where they added the entire third act at a mine because they thought audiences would be confused that there was mine in the title and there wasn't a mine in the movie.
Wow. Johnny comes out. He grabs the code. There's some sort of confrontation.
Fingernail guy slices the code.
Slices the code right in half. Johnny grabs half of it, runs out the door. The scientist grabs the other half, puts it on the fire, trying to burn it.
The still burning stove.
The still burning stove, and then he gets his hand cut off.
Yeah.
By the monowire.
Mononail man. But yeah, and then he spills the beans right away. They're going to Newark. And Johnny, it's just the weirdest disguise scene. He goes down a flight of stairs and he pulls out what appears to be a hat with hair on it. And then he walks out of an elevator as like a 7-foot tall person with long hair and a hat.
Yeah, wearing
the goofiest vinyl trench coat I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he got that. It was terrible.
It's like one of those raincoats you'd pick up in like the camping section for like $1.
But he manages to sneak out, even though there was nobody down there.
Yeah.
Cut to a Pharmacom office in Newark.
Yeah, that was the confusing part because we get to see Beat Takeshi for the first time.
Yes, Takeshi of Takeshi's Castle and of Yakuza 6, The Song of Life Aim, and a bazillion like crime movies.
I mean, Renaissance man, if there ever was one. Actor, producer, director, video game developer, writer, poet.
He's an amazing guy. If you don't know who he is, look up his body of work.
I think one of my favorite things, I don't know if he was the suit actor in it, but there was a kaiju movie where this village has an idol, basically him, and he grows to giant size and beats up the kaiju, and that's how the movie ends. But he voices it at least. I don't know if he's the suit actor in it.
Nice.
But it's just him. Like, that's the character.
He was also the evil teacher in Battle Royale.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in a ton of stuff, and it is totally wild that they got him for this movie. But I'm pretty sure William Gibson was probably like, yo, we need this guy.
Definitely. And I've heard, I haven't gotten a hold of it, but I would love to if it's possible, that the Japanese cut of this movie actually had more scenes that really fleshed out his character more, because he's such a huge presence in Japan. Like, like his body of work speaks for itself. I would love to see that cut of the movie someday if I could ever find it.
So would I. Speaking of like weird William Gibson stories turned movies, have you ever seen New Rose Hotel?
No.
It's got Christopher Walken and Willem Dafoe as shadow runners or whatever, right? Like pulling one last heist, trying to extract this asset from a corp, who is played by Yoshitaka Amano, the artist responsible for Vampire Hunter D and literally every single one of the Final Fantasy logos and Final Fantasy VI.
Oh my god.
It is wild.
I need that in my life.
It feels like they filmed all of the sequences of him completely separate in Japan while he wasn't paying attention. Like, it's all like surveillance footage of him. And so it's like he's in the movie, but he's not like acting in the movie. Yeah, it's really strange, and I definitely recommend it.
And we'll have to do it at some point. But yeah, Beat Takeshi plays Takahashi in this, which was a little weird because I know him as Takeshi, so every time someone said his name, I was like, you're mispronouncing it. We sort of get a running backstory for him. His daughter passed away recently, which is first brought up when he meets, it's Fingernail Guy. I forget his name. I think it's Hiro.
Yeah, a henchman who doesn't speak Japanese very well.
Yeah.
The initial conversation proceeds in Japanese from Beat Takeshi's side, and then Hiro Hiro. We're just going to call him Hiro because why not? Hiro's like trying to fumble out his Japanese. He's like, no. Just speak English. Your Japanese is terrible.
Which is a weirdly, uncharacteristically not Japanese thing to tell someone.
He's been living and working in Newark for God knows how long, so...
Right, so Jersey rubbed off on him.
Yep.
Shinji.
That's right, Shinji. Yes.
Shinji. Getting the robot.
It was some sort of mech protagonist name.
Yeah, he explains the situation rather diplomatically. They managed to kill the defectors, but Keanu escaped, which he describes as limited success.
No one actually knows what's in the courier's head. They just know that HQ desperately wants it, and that now it's in Takeshi's Takahashi's domain.
Jurisdiction.
Yeah, jurisdiction, because they're in Newark.
And sorry, that's never not going to kill me. I think we cut to the next set of characters. There might be an interstitial with Johnny heading to, I think either just before or just after this, where Johnny's going through, like he lands in Newark and he's going through security. And there's a brief moment where he's being scanned and they're like, illegal brain implant. And it's like, oh, it's dyslexia prosthetic.
Yeah.
Government approved.
Yeah. Although this machine definitely can tell that he has neural seepage and advises him to go seek a doctor because he will die in 24 hours.
Yeah.
So, props to you, TSA scanner machine. You're better at diagnosing things than most people.
Yeah.
But yeah, he puts his American passport card into the card reader slot.
Yeah, that was a cool touch. Your passports are just like a key card now.
It's more like a Game Boy cartridge. It's like a chunky thing. Once he goes through customs, he immediately tosses it in the garbage.
It's fake.
The next shot is him in the back of a cab calling Ralphie, saying,
right,
hey, Ralphie, what's going on here? Things went south. I have this, get it out of my head. And Ralphie's like, oh, Johnny, things are fucked up, but just, I'll tell the cab where to go, and you just go and we'll get it out of your head. Don't worry. We'll take care of you.
Yeah, it can be extracted. Like, he's really coy and really ominous about the language he's using when talking to Johnny about getting the stuff out of his head.
Yeah, instead of just being, like, reassuring and like, hey, Johnny, no, this is all cool. Like, I've got my best doctors waiting for you. Like, we'll get it out. We'll sell this data. It'll be great. He's
like, they tell me extraction is possible.
Yeah, it's like he was cursed to only tell the truth, and so he has to dance around it in the, like, cagiest way possible.
Yeah, like he couldn't be telegraphing it more.
He is very much the sleazy fixer archetype, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. No, he completely embodies that. But yeah, the cab drops Keanu off at the junkiest vacant lot I've ever seen. Next
to like a big abandoned burnt out building, and there's just like big piles of garbage everywhere. There's actually a couple big burnt out buildings there.
It's the burnt out district in downtown Newark.
Johnny's standing there in the middle of this like big vacant lot, like next to these piles of trash. And you see him from an overhead perspective, and the camera swings back up to the building, and there are two people in sort of like Burning Man light urban tribal wear.
Yeah.
Face tats, and one of them's got like dreads and goggles, and it's also Ice-T.
AKA J-Bone.
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 And he's got a pair of binoculars, and he's scoping out Johnny there, and he's like, what's this suit doing here? Suits don't come out this way. And his little sidekick is next to him, bugging him, being like, hey, let me look through those. Hey.
Yeah, I want to see him. I want to mess with him.
Johnny goes over to one of the buildings and is greeted by a large cowboy who's like, come on in. We'll treat you right. It's all good. Come on in.
We've been waiting for you. You see him down at the end of the hall, and he's beckoning in a not at all menacing fashion.
Actually, this guy wasn't menacing at all. He was just very friendly.
He seemed genuinely friendly.
Yeah, that's what Ralphie should have been, but like, again, the curse. But yeah, he beckons him in, and he walks into the room, and he's like,
as he walks in, he puts a little thing on the door, but and who else is in the room but Baldy?
Yep, and he's doing the thing of sharpening the medical instruments that he's going to use to cut off his head, because of course
he's got a medical grade bone saw, and he's using a kitchen knife steel on it.
Yep, he's got a big egg-shaped head refrigerator.
Yeah, they said that they want his head in cryogenically preserved.
So Johnny gets in there, and he manages to punch out the cowboy, but then
Baldy gets the drop on him, though.
Casually gets the drop on him. He's just like standing there holding a gun, being like, are you done? Are you done punching out my compatriot here?
I think it was like, he was like, he's going to have a rough time. I'll let him have this one.
But then he says, it's time to die, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Something just really dumb and non-committal.
And then Johnny's like, time?
And he checks his watch. And then the thing he put on the door for him explodes.
Yeah. He like pushes the button on his watch and then triggers the explosive on the door.
Yeah.
Which stuns the the bald guy enough for him to flee out the side and then hide behind a pile of garbage literally 3 feet away from the door.
Yeah.
Doesn't get very far.
Good at running, not so great at hiding.
Yeah, but the bald guy now, burnt, bruised, beaten, not having a good day, comes out with like some sort of submachine gun.
Some sort of future gun.
And he's searching around for Johnny. Johnny's hiding behind
generic burnt out debris.
Yeah. Meanwhile, up above, J-Bone and Rookie, I guess, are watching the situation, and Johnny throws a rock and distracts the bald man, and he's about to run away. And the bald man goes in the direction of the rock, at which point Rookie knocks a brick off of the building, causing a commotion and grabbing the bald man's attention, where he unleashes a spray of light arms fire and shoots the Rookie through the bottom of the chin, I think.
Don't remember. I just remember him falling and being like, I mean, you were being loud at night in Newark. What did you think was going to happen?
But yes, he gets shot, and then the bald guy goes over and inspects him.
It's very obviously not Johnny.
He turns around because I think Johnny moves, and then like Ice-T drops down
from like 7 stories up.
Yeah, he has a rope. Like you see the rope later, but he drops down there and is just like at gunpoint, like for no good reason. And the bald guy's like, "Who are you?" threatening him. And then when you think he's about to shoot J-Bone,
well, he says he's going to shoot him.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to die. And then Keanu chair match specials him with a 2x4.
Knocks him down, and then J-Bone's like, oh, you see in his eye this like recognition of like, thank you for saving me. Who are you?
Yeah, they kind of have a cool moment.
They have a cool moment.
But then the cowboy regains consciousness.
Yeah, he comes out, and I believe he has a weapon of some sort.
Some kind of future shotgun. They make a big point of him cocking it and being like, don't move. And then Ice-T uses his surgical tubing knife wrist thing to Assassin's Creed him real good.
Yeah, he did. It's a wrist launched blade that like jabs him in the heart, and he dies in extraordinary pain. Ice-T turns to Johnny. He's like, we're even. And then Johnny picks up bald guy's gun and he holds it on him. He's like, who are you? And J-Bone explains, I'm J-Bone. I'm the leader of the Low-Techs.
I run heaven.
Points to the big burnt out bridge.
Wrecked up bridge, yeah.
Behind Johnny. Johnny turns around to look at it, and when he turns back, J-Bone's gone. Batman style. But there's a rope there. there's that rope
yeah.
he used.
He J-boned out of there. Yeah, Keanu picks up I guess he's a Yakuza. Picks up his gun and like pulls off the extraneous attachments until he's just got like a paintball gun left over.
He disappears off frame, and then slightly before we had a cut to the nightclub that Ralphie is in.
Yeah, it was not quite a match cut where he was talking to Keanu, and then it cuts to from us looking at him through the picture, him looking at the screen. Yeah. With his 2 bodyguards.
And he's clearly in some position of power. He's got these 2 people behind him, femme presenting, but burly looking folks behind him.
Shiny metal breastplates, 80s new wave face makeup.
Yeah, the makeup is
the huge
cool.
peach wings.
Yeah, I do love those. And then you see him kind of lording over this like nightclub area. There's a future opera singer thing on stage, because that's what every single one of these sci-fi movies has to have, is a future opera.
It really reminded me of Fifth Element, like in a weird way.
Yeah, it's exactly the same scene, except it wasn't a blue alien. It was just some lady in future
at a nightclub,
future garbage clothes.
Yeah.
But then the camera pans up to a higher balcony area where Henry Rollins is talking to
Dinah Meyer,
who is playing Jane, and he's Spider, and she tells him that she's going to go look for work.
He tells her that she's not looking too good. She needs to come back. He wants to run some tests on her implants.
Yeah. And she's like...
she doesn't listen to him.
She's like, I thought we were done playing doctor. And he's like, not like that. So there's history. There's history between these 2. But she barrels her way down there, and she goes up to Ralphie's table.
She sort of shit talks them from a distance first. Yeah. Just under her breath. Like, they're the oldest bodyguards in the business. I need to get work.
Yeah. And then she goes up to the table. One of the large Amazons tries to stop her from getting to Ralphie. She grabs the bodyguard's arm, pins her to the table, and then says, Ralphie, your muscle's getting old. I could have done you right now. You should hire me. I'm the fastest in the business.
Leave the zeros, get with the hero.
Yeah, it's a very brash way of trying to get a job because Ralphie is the biggest fixer for bodyguard work in Newark, apparently.
Yeah.
So this is her unsolicited job interview.
Then Ralphie tells her to just hold out her hand. Just hold out your hand. Just hold it there.
And she does. And then after like about 10 seconds or so, she starts shaking.
Yeah.
And the other bodyguard's like, oh, Spider's got you jacked up so much that you're shaking, wound up so tight that like you're going to snap. And so Ralphie rejects her.
And then she gives him the bodyguard version. Fine, I'll make my own theme park, but with hookers and blackjack.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and kill you.
Yeah. Straight up, she threatens him, which is a wild thing to do. And he's like, sure, whatever.
You go crazy, you crazy kid.
Yeah. Like, she could probably make good on that threat, but also, why would you threaten to kill the one person that, like, could get you the most work?
I don't know. I mean, throughout this whole thing, she seems really single-minded and hot-headed, so it plays to her character.
She just has a very casual way of approaching murdering people.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a good trait in a bodyguard.
In this day and age.
She goes off in a huff, and then all the stuff with J-Bone and the cowboy and stuff happens, and Johnny, with his new weapon, makes his way to Ralphie's nightclub.
And catches him unawares in the men's room.
Get this out of my head, Ralphie. You set me up. Everything stinks. He tries to choke slam him in kind of like the laziest way.
He just kind of shoves him into one of the walls of a stall.
It takes him a full 5 seconds to like grab him by the throat and like slowly push him up against the wall. He's got a pistol to Ralphie's head, and then he gets jumped by one of Ralphie's bodyguards and smashed into one of the stall doors, like the stall sides, head first, and passes out onto the floor, crumples into a pile.
And then he wakes up on what I can only assume is a backroom operating table that's seen some use before.
Yeah, it looks like the sort of counter you would see in a professional kitchen, right? Like just a stainless steel table. But they've definitely set it up for kill room aesthetics. There's like plastic bags everywhere.
He's tied to it with like bungee cables and steel wire.
And you see Shinji there. I think he's wearing like an apron.
Yeah, like a one of those clear splash guards.
Yeah, like a smock almost.
Yeah.
Johnny's like, oh God, okay. Yeah, this sucks. And, you know, it's the usual, like, before you kill him, we have to have a nice long speech and a discussion with him instead of just, like, straight up hawking off his head.
And then they shut him up by shoving a foam ball in his mouth.
Yeah. I do like that the bodyguard brings over like a gross bucket. And you're like, what is this for? I guess it's to catch the blood, because the head freezer is right behind them. It definitely has like Saw sort of vibes to it.
Yeah, but Jane works her way up through the ducting and finds herself over the operating table.
Yeah, she saw them grab Johnny and drag him into the back, and she's like, this is my chance to get at Ralphie.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not 100% clear on what her plan was there. I think maybe like she thought she could blackmail him or something, which, you know, sure.
Yeah, I think she just wanted to go and kill him. I'm not sure either. She's very impetuous in a way that, like, question marks. But she grabs her flexible whip knife from the bartender.
Yeah, she barrels down out, and then she whips off a bracelet. It turns into like a car antenna with a small scalpel blade on the end.
Yeah.
She holds one of the bodyguards at knife point.
Yeah. She breaks through the ceiling and then kicks Shinji with the big grate from the ceiling. He's knocked down. She slashes one of the bodyguards.
Ralphie's like, you don't know what you stepped in. Why don't I just pay you for a night's work and you can get out of here? And Johnny's like, 20,000.
Yeah, they have a negotiation while she's straddling Johnny, kind of like standing over him, holding everyone off with this like whip knife, and she's like 50,000. He's like, done. And so she just goes to town and just starts whipping people.
Oh yeah, no. And then they wreck shop, and Johnny manages to get a gun and hold two of them at gunpoint while Jane is busy beating up one of the bodyguards for like a solid 20-30 seconds.
Yeah. The other one she like cuts the wrist of, and so she's like crumpled in a pile holding her wrist. So the only two left are Ralphie and Shinji. And Johnny's holding him at gunpoint, and she's just berserk mode.
Pummeling.
Yeah. And he's like, time to go.
Time to go.
So she runs off first. He kind of like runs behind her, and then they quickly slam this metal fence door thing.
Grating. Yeah.
And then they run off.
Ralphie tries to get at the door. Shinji uses his nail whip on the door, but for some reason it's ineffective against metal wiring or something. Like it just sparks against it without cutting anything off. He's mad at Ralphie for getting in the way, so he trisects him.
Yeah, Ralphie is cut into meat. Johnny and Jane, I can't believe their names are Johnny and Jane. They flee out the back. Janie goes over to a garbage pile, starts pushing the garbage out of the way, and Johnny's like, what are you doing? She's like, it's my gear. I gotta get my gear. She almost never uses that gear in the rest of the movie.
She uses some of it. She names a lot of it that doesn't get used. I think the one thing they do use is like a hot pink hand grenade. It's like attached to her keys.
Yes. They're pursued by Shinji and the blonde Amazon who had gotten the shit kicked out of her by Jane earlier. Jane and Johnny flee through the city until they get to this, what looks like a homeless encampment. It's just like piles of garbage with a lot of people kind of just like huddled in corners, barrel fires, you know, that sort of thing. They go into one of these buildings. So Shinji and the Amazon follow them into this sort of like entryway to this building, but then they stop because it's just like a homeless encampment and they're like, And then they hear all these animal noises coming from all of the piles of garbage, and they look around.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, how did I forget that?
And there are, like, people moving, and then this one kid steps out with, like, a slingshot and is about to shoot him. And I think Shinji or the Amazon point a gun at him, and then
everyone else gets up and turns to look at them.
Yeah, and then everyone has guns on them, including Ice-T, who's there.
They stumbled onto a nest of low-techs.
Yeah, it was a low-tech hideout, and then Jane and Johnny come out of the back, and Johnny's like looking around. He's like, "What is going on here?"
Then Ice-T's just like exits out the back. Jane's like, "Thanks, J-Bone," and they hoof it.
Mm-hmm. And then they escape down into the sewers.
And this is probably like the only part I really kind of had. I wouldn't say I had a problem with it. It's just hard to reconcile with both of the characters. They're walking along. They're kind of aimless. And for some reason, Jane's just really trying to get to know Johnny.
Yeah, I think her character is supposed to be like 5 years younger than the actress is. This seems like the same sort of situation as we saw in Knights, where she's supposed to be young and impetuous, kind of like Rookie. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, I want to get paid, but if you can't pay me yet, I'm going to stick to you like glue. And if I'm going to stick to you, well, I might as well get to know you because I don't get to talk to too many people, I guess.
Johnny can't decide if he wants to be standoffish with her or spill the beans on how everything works, like at any given moment.
Yeah, he's very sparing with information, but then also tells her like his whole deal about having to dump his childhood in order to do this job and how important it is for him to get all this stuff out so he doesn't die. He has like seizure and she like picks him up.
We have a brief thing where there's like flashes of like a birthday or a house and some balloons that, you know, it's not the first one now, but it runs throughout the movie. But yeah, he's mad that she let him sleep because he needs to get all the crap out of his head or he's going to die.
Yeah, he's got a ticking time bomb and she doesn't recognize that. But he immediately says, I need to get onto the internet. He is the most relatable character at that moment.
I need a computer.
Yes. So they break into
Crazy Bob's computer shop.
Crazy Bob's computer shop. They go to the back room where there's a bunch of computer parts and inboxes, and he's listing off all the things that he needs in order to connect to the internet for her to fetch.
Yeah. Translation module, GP9 stealth unit.
Yeah. It's actually a fun sequence.
Yeah. It almost vicariously getting that rush of getting new stuff and then opening it yourself through the movie screen. I don't know.
Yeah. He's got this like building a rig montage, right? We just talked about how you built a computer. It's that same feeling of like, he's putting together his rig. Or I guess in this case, his deck.
But yeah, then we get this is almost too good for 90s CG. Like, this is just a really nice CG internet. The internet is its own world sequence. But we don't get to it right away. He puts everything on and then does a bunch of hand motions. Like, he's opening stuff. Like, you can tell this is stuff that he's done before. This is rote. It's just what you do. Like, as much as using a mouse is to us.
Yeah. It's the future where everything is like magic leap motion controls.
He's got the crazy power gloves or info gloves, what they call them.
Yeah, they kind of look like these segmented rings on each finger of fabric that like conform to his fingers, and like you can see him in space. It's cool.
Yeah, and I didn't notice it the first couple of times I watched it, but this time on this latest rewatch, the bands connecting them are actually lit with LEDs that change color when he does stuff.
It's really cool production design. Like, again, the iPhones that he has, the like headset.
Giant silver eye cover with headphones.
Yeah, they look dope and honestly wouldn't look out of place in 2021.
I mean, if I ever got like an Oculus or something, I would totally spray paint it silver just to get that same kind of. Then yeah, we go through this whole detective sequence where he looks up the hotel he was at, goes to their phone records, finds the fax through the billing system, finds the place they got faxed to, which turns out it's just a fax shop. And there's a glimmer of hope when he finds there's still some memory in the fax buffer, which I thought was like a really cool logical sequence to see and just to think through.
Yeah, it was him being a hacker and like going through the steps of like, how do I get the information I need? And that's cool. Honestly, that's more hacking than happened in the Matrix. Yeah, he finds out that all he has is a name, Dr. Allcom.
Dr. Allcom. Yeah. But at the same time, he is himself being traced by a man in a lab coat in a similar looking rig in a big techno room.
Yeah, that's the best way you can describe it. It's somewhere in Pharmacom Newark headquarters under Takahashi's auspices. They're using their cybersecurity department, I guess, to track Johnny's whereabouts, even though I don't know how they would, but sure.
I don't know. They keep saying random tech words like narrow your bandwidth, look locally, and it just keeps zooming in on the same map.
Yeah.
And then they, list off the place that he's at. Well, he tries to talk to one of his hacker friends when the fax plan doesn't pan out. And the dude's like, whatever you're carrying is too hot, man. Everybody's looking for you. I could get killed just from talking to you.
Yeah, get off my board, man. This is my livelihood.
Help me out. I could fry your board from here. Computer claws.
Yeah, that's like the most iconic Keanu sequence from this whole movie is where he's doing the computer claws threatening this guy's BBS.
Yeah, especially when like it's the shot of him in the computer shop wearing the rig doing that. It's like tiger claws.
For good. I love this movie.
And then like Dynamiter's just wandering around in the background because she doesn't know what to do while this is going on.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm here. This is before people had phones, so she didn't have anything to do. She's just kind of polishing her knife, I guess.
She's trying to ask questions and he's just being coy. Like, what are you doing? He's like making a long distance call.
But then
the corporate guys drop a virus on him right when he's talking to his friend, and they have to skedaddle.
Yep. She notices that some cars are coming up. Then a white lady ghost shows up and is like, Johnny, they're coming for you.
Oh, yeah.
You must get out of there.
Lady Zordon shows up.
I think you see her in another scene with Takahashi.
She shows up to him a bunch.
Yeah. There's one scene where he is shirtless. You see the big Yakuza back tattoo. In the background, his like little video of his daughter is playing. And she's like, oh, it's the whole like, this person died and you're replaying the video of your best memory of them that everyone does.
They kind of hinted at it earlier. Shinji kept saying, I'm sorry for your loss. I didn't want to bother you while you were grieving. That's why I didn't call you immediately.
Yep. But apparently his kid died and it was tragic. But then this white ghost lady is like, Takahashi, you need to listen to me because the thing that the courier is carrying is very important and it's the cure. And he cuts her off. He's like, I don't want to hear this. I'm grieving. Yeah. I'm busy with this work nonsense. I don't even know who you are, spooky ghost lady.
Yeah, but he gets informed that Shinji misses them again. And it's like, call Carl. And we get to meet Dolph Lundgren.
Yes. Who is, I forgot what they call him, the preacher, the reverend?
The street preacher.
He's Dolph Lundgren in his best, like, John the Apostle outfit, I guess?
Yeah. Felt robes, toga, full beard, long hair.
Yeah.
Just having a blast. Like, he is just enjoying the hell out of this role.
Yes. At some point, he like walks around and some low-tech spot him, and they're like, who's that? And they're like, oh, don't mess with the street preacher.
J-Bone's like, there's an unnatural bone lift in his body. He does jobs for people to keep himself full of implants.
Yeah. So he is wired up to all hell and a walking nightmare that everyone has heard about.
Well, even just the small scene where you first meet him, there's a ton of stuff. Like his video phone is inside of a Bible. And, you know, he's sort of, but not quite using the euphemisms showing people, like, who needs to be shown to Jesus. And, like, he's got a Bowie knife crucifix.
Yeah, he's got, like, a murder chapel.
Yeah.
He is activated by Takahashi, who is just like, Shinji's just useless. So get me the head of this courier and I will pay you like triple the fee or whatever. It's
not a super important. It's just that we get to meet Carl. We get back to Jane and Johnny, who are on the run, and Jane has an episode.
She's been trying to tell him, hey, stop trying to talk to these pharmacom guys. They're just going to keep screwing you. Let my friend Spider help you. He can help get that stuff out of your head. He's a doctor. Like, I trust him. He's done work on me. She has a seizure, and Johnny doesn't know what to do because he's like, I want to meet with these pharmacom guys. He set up a meeting.
Yeah, he stole her card and then dialed up the super secret pharmacom secret security number.
Yeah, where he talked to a random white man.
Man on screen.
Man on screen, and he's like, hey, I'm the courier. I have this data. I want to set up a meeting. Let's meet.
Yeah, then we get some reveal on him later that I really hope is true for the earlier scene, too.
But before that happens, Janie has the seizure, and she's like, don't meet with Pharmacom. Go to Spider. He can help you, and he can help me. Out of feelings of obligation or guilt or just because he's a nice guy, Johnny takes her over to Spider's place.
Yeah, he gets her over there, and we get to see Henry Rollins again, and he's just fantastic.
Yeah, he uses every opportunity to be shouty Henry Rollins as he possibly can.
Yeah, like the first thing he says to them is, if you're not invited, you're not welcome, get the fuck out.
He's like, hey, Jane's in trouble. She said that could help her. There's a lot of like dancing back and forth in this scene about like, well, who are you? Oh, I'm Johnny.
Johnny what?
Just Johnny. Yeah.
Well, just Johnny.
Neither one wants to reveal what they know, but Johnny eventually is like, yeah, I have like bad neural seepage and I need to get this data out of my head, and then learn that Janie has NAS, and that NAS is just caused by the world around us, man. All of these electronics.
It's a real woo-woo non-explanation.
4G will give you brain cancer, like type stuff.
5G will activate the nanites in your brain.
It's a lot of hand-wavy nonsense that a doctor should not be.
Yeah, they could have done it a little bit, or like, you know, the EM radiation and everything is starting to affect people adversely.
Yeah.
Depending on, but they don't. It's just like, he's just pointing at things in the room. It's like, that's causing it, and that's causing it. Everything's causing it. The world's causing it, man.
I get the sense that he's more of a like back alley car stereo installer. But with people parts versus like an actual trained doctor. Like at one point he may have been a street medic, but like he does not have a PhD.
Yeah, everyone kind of mentions that they think he used to be a doctor, but no one says for sure that he used to be a doctor.
Oh, yeah. Carl goes over to Ralphie's bar.
He goes to the bar, yeah. And the bartender's mopping up the mess from earlier.
Yeah, just a big bloody mop.
Just smearing the blood around.
Carl's like, where's the girl that left with the courier?
He quotes scripture at him, and he's like, Isaiah. And he's like, well, Isaiah, my name's Hooky.
And, you know, Ruff's Hooky up, like smashes his mechanical hand, which Hooky is appropriately upset about.
Yeah, well, he does it. They kind of set a pattern for him where he sort of raises someone's arms out in a sort of the T-pose crucifix pattern before he hurts them in some way. In that case, shoving Hooky's hand into the cryogenic thing and then smashing it with a pipe.
But then Hooky kind of spills the beans about who Janie is.
And where she might be going.
And then he's the one that mentions that, oh yeah, Spider might have been a doctor in the past. Who knows?
He calls him a flesh mechanic, which I thought was really cool.
William Gibson knows how to write some William Gibson-esque dialogue.
Yeah, and I gotta hand it to the guy who played that bartender. He really swung for the fences there.
Nobody in this movie was just phoning it in. Everyone got their brief and they just went for it.
Yeah, just one of the many things that I love about the movie.
Yeah, I can't think of any performances that were particularly weak. The most incongruous performance was probably Beat Takeshi's, only because he was playing a character in a far more serious movie than this.
Yeah, and someone who recently experienced loss and is trying to manage a huge corporation while everything was going to shit, so.
He came from the adult version of this film. And then, like, somehow found himself among all of these fucking teenagers. It was like, what is going on?
Keanu gets his brain scanned by Spider, and we learn that Dr. Alcom is actually a code that the data that was being couriered was actually going to him, because it is in fact the cure to NAS.
This is the point where he and Johnny have this like long discussion about like, well, you're gonna die anyway, so maybe have your death mean something. So we could like just get the data out there and then help all these people. And Johnny's like, but then I'll be dead.
Yeah.
It won't help me because I'll be dead. Henry Rollins is just trying his best to convince him to do the altruistic thing. And he's like, nope,
Yeah.
nope, not going to do that because I'll be dead. And that won't be good.
Mm-hmm. Well, he tries to give him like the good version of if they can't get it out, where he'll have to scoop out a piece of brain and he'll lose some of his motor function and won't be able to remember anything for 3 minutes at a time. And
Johnny's like, nope. No. But before things can come to a head, there is a commotion, and Carl comes barging into the clinic, rampaging.
Johnny and Jane leg it. Spider yells after them, get to Jones. Jones can help you. And proceeds to have his hand stabbed into the overhead lights by Carl. And that's unfortunately the last we see of Spider. I thought I remembered him showing up later, but I guess that's just it for him. But he gets a neat little moment where he's like, Carl's asking him who Jones is, and he's just like, oh, it's the guy that fucks your mom.
Yeah, Henry Rollins to the end.
Yeah.
This kind of sets off the end game for the movie. Now that they know that Jones can help them out, Keanu's like, who is this Jones? How could he help me out? And Jane's like being super cagey. She's like,
He was in the Navy. He's super wired up. He can definitely help you.
And Johnny's like, yeah, okay, Navy man. Navy man, good.
Former Navy, got it.
Or, yeah, a code breaker, sure, yeah.
So we need right now.
But then he also calls up Takahashi.
Well, no, he calls up man on screen.
He calls up man on screen, and he's like, hey, dude, do you still want to meet? Because, like, come meet me at the bridge where the low-techs live.
And then we find out that man on screen is, at least at this point, literally a sock puppet for Takahashi. Like, they show him his hand doing the hand puppet motion over a laser grid, and then when he pulls it away, the man on screen goes limp.
It's very good. Before they understood that like computers could do facial recognition and like just map it that way, this was a good analog. And now like we have this sort of crap for streamers. Like just casually 15-year-olds using it.
I really want to believe the first time he called him, it was also the hand puppet too.
That's just how he answers the phone. So Takahashi sets up the meet.
He gears up.
Yeah. It's implied that he's ex-Yakuza. So he knows his way around a sword and a gun.
But his secretary sort of gave him the rundown on the ghost lady who's calling him. She was the ex-head of Pharmatech, who had her brain downloaded to the neural net.
Yeah, she actually has legal citizenship as an AI entity in Switzerland, is what they said.
Under the AI laws of '06, like we all remember.
Yeah, exactly. She is the literal ghost in the machine that has been trying to do the right thing, using Johnny and Takahashi as her surrogates in the real world. And she's been trying to convince him that he needs to take action.
She keeps saying, finding the thing inside the courier's mind will give your life new purpose. They know you've lost purpose with your life after the death of your family, and it's made you weak.
Yeah.
And Shinji's trying to kill you and take over, and
he's not having it, though. He's like, whatever.
But everybody converges on the bridge.
They're trying to get up to low-tech heaven because Janie used to run with the low-techs when she was younger, and so she knows J-Bone. And Johnny's just, like, down in the parking lot just screaming for, like, 10 minutes, just shouting at them to let them in.
Yeah.
And that's when they drop the bug on the spider.
But yeah, it's got this whole system, like, well, of a magazine of VW Beetles loaded up, ready to drop on people, I guess, because you can see stacks of them intermittently throughout this whole setup. It gets really elaborate.
Yeah. J-Bone comes down and is like, why are you here? They say Spider sent them to go talk to Jones, but Spider's dead. And J-Bone has this moment of hesitation and is like, come on up.
Mm-hmm. And we just get the whole rundown of how they built an entire city civilization type deal on the skeleton of this bridge using old cargo containers and trash from the landfill. And they just try to hack whatever proprietary information they can and then beam it out onto the net for free.
They are your pirate radio, hack the planet evolution of that group from hackers.
Yeah.
Who are setting the information free, man.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the movie, right as Johnny's walking into the new Beijing hotel, one of the monitors has a news report that is interrupted by the low-tech broadcast, and you hear Ice-T going, free your mind and free the data, or whatever the fuck he says.
Free the data, you brain zombie.
It's some sort of weird nonsense.
Yeah.
Before it's cut out. But he's this omnipresent force in the movie that this is where you see, oh yeah, Low-Tech headquarters is this bridge, and they have a butt ton of communication gear.
And we go into, it feels like it's a garage on a soundstage. It didn't quite feel like it might have been attached to a bridge, which kind of ruined it for me. But it's still a real cool location. Giant room, a tornado of TVs, old TVs, and like a big sculpture and all sorts of electrical equipment on every wall. Everybody's at somewhere doing something, and we meet Jones.
Yeah.
Who's a dolphin.
Yeah, Jones is in a giant tank, kind of third stage guild navigator style. He's got like all of this cyber gear like over his eyes, and he can control this like little radar dish in the room that like does things and can like shoot microwaves. Johnny's like, what, Jones is a fish? And Jones turns the microwave cannon on Johnny and just starts like zapping him with it.
Ice-T's just like, hey, easy sailor, he's a friend.
Then they say, hey, yeah, Jones can cut through the encryption. He can go get those images out of your brain. No problem. Let's do it. And so Johnny straps in and sits down.
So back when they were at Spiders, they get Jane on the table, and Henry Rollins says, grab me the muscle relaxant, the red one. And then here, the chair they put him into is one of the wooden ones they use for electrocution, much like the one Keanu sat in John Constantine.
Oh.
Like, there's no connection there. It's just weird to me. Like, there's a lot of little things that you can tie.
There are echoes. Yeah.
I'm sure it was like a conscious set dressing thing for, you know, the situation and not really having much to do with anything else. It's just one of those little details.
I think at that point, they start the procedure.
But then the Yakuza tactical team shows up.
Yeah. They show up. They're sitting at the like base of the bridge.
Some of them get up to the thing, and one of them throws a knife into the guy who dropped a bug on them earlier. And then in his death throes, he falls on the lever, which drops a bug onto some guy who's apparently named Maroney, because after he gets crushed, one of the other people is like, Maroney, and then grabs a rocket launcher and starts indiscriminately shooting.
Yeah, it's a chain of nonsense that didn't need to happen, honestly, but it happened. So there's just chaos outside. The power gets disrupted by this rocket launcher explosion, and just about when Johnny is about to get this one of the images from Jones, he is stymied.
The equipment goes down because of all the rocket blasts, and the easy way is not an option anymore. You're going to have to hack your own brain and then run it through the dolphin.
Yeah, you got to loop it through Jones.
But then Takeshi shows up and shoots some people.
He shoots a bunch of low-techs, and then he's about to shoot Johnny, and Johnny's like, you can't kill me. And he's like, all I need is your head. But then Ghost Lady shows up as a giant hologram, sort on style. Like, straight up.
I'm pretty sure that's like almost the same visual effect, too. And she proceeds to lay some truth onto him that not only is the data in Johnny's head the cure for NAS, Pharmacom had it at an early enough point that they could have saved his daughter if they'd wanted to.
Yeah, they'd had it for like 8 months. Easy. It was the cure plus all of the like clinical trial data that proved it was real. Like, they could have just went production with this immediately and saved a bunch of people, but they decided to protect their profits because it's more profitable to treat people than it is to cure them.
Takahashi decides he's had enough of this and then cuts the cables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You get the sense that he's just in denial. He doesn't want to listen to this spooky ghost, even though he knows she's telling the truth. He just wants to be done with this. But before he can do anything, he's riddled with bullets by Shinji.
Shinji shows up, and he and Keanu have a good old-fashioned tussle.
Yeah. There's a lot of fighting. I think, meanwhile, also Carl shows up.
Carl shows up, and then he has a mirror battle with Jane at the same time.
Because everybody needs someone to fight.
Keanu and Shinji's fight proceeds such that they end up precariously hanging off a cargo net out of a container, and Johnny comes to the realization that Shinji can't kill him, he needs the data. So that doesn't really come to anything. He just says it out loud, and then everything shifts because of the explosions, and then they're both hanging from the cargo net, and Johnny uses the monofilament wire to slice off Shinji's head.
Yep. And then his headless body and head tumble down, presumably to Newark.
And I don't remember if this happened with him or with Carl, but like his body or Carl's body falls down at the same time as a big flaming container. And it looks like the container falls first and it's going to land on the body. But when it hits, the container has fallen first and Shinji's body is above the container.
Yeah, I think it's Shinji's because Carl is still fighting up above with Janie. She's generally holding her own, but then he ends up stabbing her through one of her hands. He's about to crucify her like he's done with everyone else.
He gets a hold of a couple of her throwing spikes.
Mm-hmm. And Keanu runs in and he wants to do something, and Ice-T runs in and he wants to do something.
Keanu distracts him, and Carl's like, come to Jesus, and it looks like Keanu's about to punch him, but then Dolph blocks and knocks him out. Jane takes the opportunity to pull out the spike and make it over to Jones and re-aim the microwave dish at Carl. Mm-hmm. So they set him to popcorn.
He basically microwaves all of the metal implants inside of him, and then
he's stunned, and then he's using one of the hanging cables to steady himself, and Keanu has a brainwave and runs over and grabs another cable and puts it into his other hand, and he gets electrocuted in the crucifix position that he's killed other people in, presumably before.
Of course he does.
It looks like his skeleton's actually made out of metal.
Yeah, we see his very charred corpse with the metal sticking out underneath the flesh.
So he literally did not have a natural bone left in his body.
No. But then they're like, all right, we're running out of power. It's now or never. Time to hack your own brain. They're going to set up the broadcast. So as soon as they get the data out, they're going to just broadband it worldwide. And so Keanu starts the whole hacking his own brain and then looping it through Jones sequence. And this is the part which is the most Lawnmower Man VR bullshit nonsense that they definitely had to explain to audiences because otherwise you would not have understood what was going on.
Yeah. Right before this, I didn't get a screenshot of it. I wanted to because the subtitles were just wonderful. Ghost Lady shows up one last time. And it's, Johnny, you have to enter the dolphin.
Yeah, he's flying through, and you see he like approaches the Pharmacom data, and it's got like all this security, and it's like warning, do not approach, or like do not try to access,
activating virus.
And then Johnny's avatar does this like hand motion thing that he was doing earlier in the movie and creates a copy of himself down underneath his feet, and then this super tacked on Ice-T like voiceover is like, don't worry,
he's doubling himself. And then you get a cut back to them, and then they have a look at each other like they weren't actually saying anything. That was just a reaction shot that they ADR'd just before.
Yep. And then the virus starts attacking one of the Johnnies and is shredded, and there's another ADR that's like
they're just ADRing a play-by-play.
Yeah, don't worry, that was just a copy. He's fine. But whatever, Johnny hacks his own brain, ends up slicing up the Pharmacom data, and then pulling out the
final image to download, and it was Ghost Lady's face.
Mm-hmm. And then he passes it to Jones, who like clears it up. He then like sticks his head into it, I guess, whatever representation, and then starts the decryption process, at which point all of the data starts downloading out of his head,
shooting up to a satellite. It's just like really to a really weird musical cue that almost sound like the Jaws theme.
But then you kind of cut to people across the world in like bars and stuff seeing all of this scientific data on their screens. It's supposed to be that moment where it's like, oh, like everyone understands that like this is the cure for NAS, and like, wow, this is This is some world-changing stuff, but it's also like nobody would understand this.
Yeah, and we get a brief little not quite fake out scare. It looks like Carl's metal, bloody, charred corpse is getting up. And then Ice-T's, everyone kind of turns around and it looks like they're going to do the spook. And Ice-T's just like, throw that trash out of here. And then they chuck his corpse off the bridge.
Yeah. While they're doing that, Ice-T and company are looking out at the Newark skyline, and the Pharmacom headquarters is on fire because... people were like, oh, fuck this noise, fuck your corporation, we're setting you on fire, you killed all these people for no good reason. I'm not saying that the people of our world need to be as indignant, but boy, I wish they were.
Yes.
But yeah, so the happy ending is that Johnny saves the world, and he gets memory back through a really weird CG tricycle driving through a CG sheet of paper.
Yeah, and just some cipher images of, birthday, child, mom stuff, indicating that his memories are in fact back.
Yeah, he remembers his mom's face. He has a good time. Oh, and he still has all that hardware in his head. It's all good. I guess he can still keep working as a courier, and things are free now. But yeah, that's pretty much where the movie ends. Johnny and Jane are just like hanging out in low-tech headquarters.
They kind of have a tender moment earlier. It a little bit comes out of nowhere. They kind of trauma bonded, I guess, throughout all this. And there was a really good character building moment. I don't remember if it was just after they meet Jones or just before they get into the low-tech thing, where he has a privileged person pity party and he starts screaming about wanting room service, and he wants laundered shirts like they have at the Imperial Hotel in Tokyo, and a $10,000 a night hooker.
Yeah.
And cold Mexican beer.
It's when he's waiting down in the parking lot before they let them up, and he's just like screaming up at them, and he's just frustrated.
Yeah.
And to her credit, Janie doesn't just like deck him. She's like, okay, this guy's an asshole, but like he's been through a lot, and like he's kind of cute, I guess.
He owes me money.
Yeah. She's generally pretty cool with all this. That's the end of Johnny Mnemonic, the movie. In the short story, I think he ends up becoming one of the low-techs and getting all these weird like fang implants and becomes a dog person.
I don't quite remember. I thought it ended like he couldn't end up getting his memories back. So what they do is they scrape all the random data out, and they use it to blackmail the people he's worked for before, and they happily live after all the blackmailed millions.
Maybe. It's been so long since I read it that all I remember is that like at the end he joined the low-techs after a weird knife fight on like a tilty floor. I think that was a big part of the story. It's a weird story. You should read it. I think it's in the Burning Chrome collection.
But yeah, there's actually an FMV point and click adventure game.
Bless.
That was made. Not only that, they finished a Sega CD version that was never released, so that's floating around out there somewhere.
I was one of the few people that owned the first gen Sega CD, and I 100% would have purchased Johnny Mnemonic the game.
Yeah, I was physically disappointed when I read that it didn't get released, because that just would have been too perfect. Yeah. An FMV Johnny Mnemonic Sega CD game that's point and click.
But all in all, I still love this film.
Yeah.
It's cheesy in the right ways.
Mm-hmm.
It still holds up. Like, the plot is still vaguely relevant to 2020, weirdly enough.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of pieces of speculative fiction, especially in this sort of like near future cyberpunk genre, that end up seeming very dated by the time you revisit them, like decades later. Like Hackers, super dated. Swordfish, super dated. We're not even going to talk about the net. Like
ordering pizza online, never.
Laughably dated. But honestly, this one still feels relevant. It still feels fresh. Like, other than a couple cheesy one-liners, like none of it feels super tied to the 90s. If you told me that this movie were just like a badly made sci-fi original or like Netflix original, I'd be like, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
From like the mid 2000s or something, sure. Like it has a timelessness that like good production design will give you.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's got this earnest timelessness to it that just, I don't know that I fall in love with it every time, but I definitely have a good time every time I watch it.
Mm-hmm. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but it does enough things right that, like, I can't be mad at this movie. I'm always going to watch it if it somehow is on. And if someone reminds me about it once a year, I will watch it once a year.
Somehow it's the second movie we've seen with two musicians turned actors set in a cyberpunk future.
Yeah, I think that's just the thing people do. I think part of it is because musicians are cool. Mm-hmm. Like, they're stylish and cool and have a lot of personality, and they're an easy thing to throw into a movie to bring in a lot of audience.
Speaking of, if you haven't checked out our episode on Free Jack, definitely recommend that one too.
Yeah. These are weirdly interesting companion pieces to each other because they're similar again. This is a fugitive man on the run story, finding unlikely allies, fighting against a mega corporation. Like,
this one's slightly more upfront and not a background element than Free Jack was, but I really feel this movie gets a lot more crap than it deserves. I mean, I can see why people might, but I just don't feel that way at all.
The IMDb rating is pretty low. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 12. Like, critical reception was not kind to this movie, and it's unfortunate because, like, again, it's well put together. It's surprisingly well put together.
Yeah, I think I can safely say that we both highly recommend this if you just want to watch a good, fun, good Keanu Reeves movie. Definitely.
If nothing else, like, everyone is so young in this that it's just like,
yeah,
it's nice to see young Keanu, pre-Matrix, young Ice-T. Like, he's hot in this movie. He looks good as he gets older, but he's, like, pretty attractive in this movie.
Yeah, Wee Babby, Henry Rollins, Dolph Lundgren, just going straight up toga knife fight at one point.
This is before Beat Takeshi got, like, super, like, old potato man like he is now, but he still looks pretty good for his age.
Yeah, Dynamite, cute as ever.
Yeah, good movie.
Definitely. For sure, a recommendation. It's also funny, this one little tidbit I looked up when I was doing a little research. This is the last theatrical release Dolph Lundgren was in before The Expendables. Everything he did between now, this movie, and The Expendables was direct to video. But yeah, that was Johnny Mnemonic. Kate, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Army of Meat on Twitter, TikTok, other places. You can also listen to my other movie podcast, Weaving Spaghetti, wherever podcasts can be found. Where can people find you, Sky?
You can find me on Twitter at Shard_Corso, SHARD_CORSO. If you have any suggestions for movies or anything you'd like us to cover, you can drop us a suggestion at our Twitter at Interesting Choice 6 on Twitter, INTRESTING CHOI 6. Also, we're now on Spreaker. You can find us by going to Spreaker.com/show/interesting-choices, or just search for Interesting Choices on Spreaker, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye.